Let me give you some examples of domain. So let's take a look at this function here, the square root function. So you can imagine it as being like a machine, square root machine. If you put in the number 9, it will square root it and it will spit out the number 3. So domain is what you can put into the machine without it breaking down. You see, if you try and put a -4 into the machine, if you try and put a -4 into the machine, it will break down, because how do you square root a negative number? As far as you're concerned, you can't square root it. So -4 is not in the domain. 9 is in the domain. You can square root a 9, but if you try and put a -4 in there, the machine will break down. So when you come to specify the domain, you have to say domain dot x can be anything on the real number line, but don't go putting a negative number in there. So you would have to specify x must be greater or equal to 0, because you can't put the number 0 into the machine. Look, 0 is in the domain. You put a number 0 in there, you square root of 0, it will give you 0. But just don't go putting a negative number in there. So only put numbers which are greater than 0. That's why there's nothing on the negative side. Now let's look at the domain for 1 over x. So 1 over x. Domain is what you can put into the machine without it breaking down. You put in the number 3 into the machine, that works, because 1 divided by 3, it will spit out a third. You see, it breaks down when you put the number 0 into the machine. You put the number 0 into the machine, it will break down. So when you come to specify the domain, you have to say domain dot x can be anything on the real number line, comma, x cannot be 0. So that's how you specify the domain. Oh, I forgot to explain earlier what this means. You have to say that x belongs to anything on the real number line. So this is 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, and when you're older, you would do what's called complex numbers. You see, by you specifying this, people can't put a complex number in there. So for example, this number here, this is actually a number. This is 3 plus 2i. Collectively, this is a number. You see, by specifying x, what you put into the machine must be on this line. It cannot be a complex number. So don't go try and put a complex number into this machine. It will break down. So by you specifying this, you're restricting people from putting a complex number into the machine. Now let's look at this one here. The domain for this one, well, when you think about domain, think about what will break down the machine. Well, here, nothing breaks down the machine. You can put 0 into the machine, square it, it will spit out the number 0. You can put the number 100 into the machine. You can put -3 into the machine, and so on. Nothing breaks down here. Whereas here, 0 breaks down, whereas here, negative breaks down. Here, nothing breaks down. So when you come to specify the domain, it will be domain dot anything, or x must be on the real number line, and comma, then you normally specify your restriction here. But there is no restriction. You can put anything into the machine. It doesn't break down. So don't specify your restriction. So this would be how you specify the domain, okay, for this function.